The killer aimed his sniper rifle at the president, but the 8x scope accidentally reflected light. The president calmly continued his speech. In fact, he had already calculated the distance and wind speed 1 second before the bullet arrived. He slightly turned his body. The bullet only grazed his arm, but his approval rating instantly hit its peak. No one could have guessed. Half a year ago, he was just a failed writer, unable to write a single word. He was barely getting by on moldy pizza. Worse yet, his girlfriend had just broken up with him. He wandered the streets in despair and ran into his ex-wife's brother. He handed Eddie a pill.
What's in it?
They've identified these receptors in the brain that activate specific circuits. And you know how they say that we can only access 20% of our brain? Well, what this does, it lets you access all of it.
Eddie instinctively refused, but after his brother-in-law left, he still took out the transparent pill. The moment it touched his tongue, he felt dizzy and lightheaded. His brain cells seemed to be fully ignited. His eyes suddenly became bright. Just then, the landlord angrily came to collect the rent. Eddie accidentally saw her book. From just one corner of it, he deduced the problem in her thesis. That book was one he had read 15 years ago, but now he remembered every word. The landlord was thrilled, and they spent a pleasant night together. When he got home, his brain still couldn't stop. Inspiration gushed forth like a fountain. He couldn't wait to start writing, finishing a whole book in just one night. But when he woke up, he was back to his old self again. Luckily, the manuscript was still there. He rushed to show it to the publisher. The editor knew he wasn't that talented and casually said she would take a look. But as soon as Eddie got home, he received a message from the editor. After reading just a few lines, the editor was blown away by his genius. Eddie couldn't believe it and finally realized the pill's power. He hurried to find his brother-in-law, but his face was covered in bruises, and he avoided talking about the pills. He told Eddie to pick up a suit from the cleaners. Eddie returned with the suit, only to find the door half open and the room eerily silent. In just over 10 minutes, his brother-in-law had been killed. Eddie was terrified and grabbed a cue to hide in the corner, only calling the police after confirming it was safe. But then he suddenly thought the killer might be after the pills, so he quickly put on gloves and frantically searched the room. Finally, under the oven panel, he found a bag full of pills. Eddie almost laughed with excitement. He took them all home and eagerly swallowing another one, he became energetic again, writing a new work in 3 days and mastered the piano in 2 days. Even the toughest investments became a game. He turned $800 into over $3,000 in a single day. When his ex-girlfriend heard of his success, she immediately asked him out. Eddie looked confident, as if he could do anything, but the side effects soon appeared. He began to feel dizzy, seeing double images. He stumbled into the subway and bumped into a few thugs. They were about to attack, but he suddenly recalled Bruce Lee's moves. His body moved on its own, and he defeated them all. But when the pill's effect wore off, pain swept over his entire body. He passed out for 3 days. When he woke up, he searched for the pills, only to find there were a few left, and he had no idea. A cold-blooded killer had already started targeting him.